All right, man. Hey, I'm glad you came back on, man. Uh, hey, we're here again. We had Coach Matt Avramidis on down at Palm Harbor of Palm Harbor University, the U as they call it down there, and owner of Canes Club. We had him on early on when I started the show back in April, and he's grown himself quite a little following down there. And now he's got a club that's opening up and pretty dope. And welcome back, Coach, man. It's
It,
really good to see you.
it's good to be back. Yeah, our club, we really haven't slowed down since they started youth sports back up in Florida. We've been kind of bouncing around from facility to facility in Pinellas County, even one in Hillsborough County. But we finally just made the choice and got a warehouse and got some mats and some wall pads. And we got about a mat and a half of space, a bunch of strength and conditioning equipment, climbing ropes. And we're going to really go brick and mortar and start running 4 days a week.
Man, that's awesome. And so what kind of brought that up? I know that initially when we were talking, everything was happening out of the schools. They had just shut us down, so it was real early on in this, and we were all just kind of crossing our fingers to see what happens. Now we've obviously been months through this. I'm sure your off season has been affected like anybody else's.
Yeah.
But has that been part of your thought process or your sense of urgency to get an off-campus facility?
It's been in my head for years to really run the club right. We have a pretty small wrestling room at the school. And we have a large turnout for the youth stuff. So I was always in the back of my head that we needed a bigger facility and something that we had access to, 24/7, 7 days a week. Something that I could run, a lot of coaches out of, and, a real home for the program. And, I was looking at commercial properties one day. I saw a place for a good price in Tarpon Springs, which is only about 10 minutes from the school. And I just jumped on it. I was able to secure a full mat from the Florida Jets and piece together a bunch of other mats from different people. And it's coming together really well. And it looks like the turnout's going to be awesome.
Yeah, man, good for you. And that was kind of my next question. What's an off-campus facility going to mean for the growth of your club and Palm Harbor Wrestling?
Well, first of all, instead of practicing 2-3 days a week, we'll have like 4 or 5 days a week worth of training. It also means we can separate classes. As before, we kind of ran 2 practices at the same time. Now we'll have like 5:30 to 6:30 kindergarten through 5th grade, and then 6:30 to 8:30 6th grade to 12th grade. We'll also have Steve Hall's going to be running a lot of freestyle and Greco practices out of there, and some elite girls practices. We'll have some strength and conditioning coaches using it in the morning, tumbling, a bunch of stuff like that.
Oh, nice, cool. Yeah, I was going to ask that too. I know that you bounced around a little bit in the MMA world prior to settling down where you're at now. And do you think that's something that you'd like to have in the room as well? Maybe have an area where some guys can come in and do that?
I'm open to anything. I have a couple good buddies that have some pretty big grappling and MMA gyms in the area, so they got enough space. This place ain't big enough. Yeah. But yeah, I'd be open to that. And I think the wrestling is going to be the big thing there. And I'll tell you what, even with all this going on, we've been having a real good turnout. And we're very cautious. We follow the USA protocols. We do temperature checks, screening, questionnaire, a lot of sanitizing, cleaning, stuff like that. And in the past, I don't know, 2 months that we've been able to practice, we haven't had a single issue with it.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're taking the right precautions, then you should be okay. Yeah, and you just don't know who they're around or who they've been around when they're not at the club, right? So
yeah,
you got to hope that parents are doing the right things too, and just everything else. But it is refreshing. I see on Facebook and stuff where kids are getting back into wrestling and back into the clubs. And as we talked before, my wife is still very cautious, so we're still stuck inside. But and I've talked to other parents in the area or in Florida that kind of feel the same way a little bit. But I'm definitely glad to see people are attempting to do it and have tournaments, because I think parents' confidence will grow as they see successful events take place, and it'll it'll fall off if these events aren't successful. So if people are out there putting them on, please do it the right way, handle with
Yeah.
care, do things by the book so that you can turn around and say, hey, we had a successful event. 14 days later, nothing back as far as major sickness or health, and we can continue to do this.
Yeah, I think the secret is just being real consistent in the practices, for safety. Just doing the same thing every day, making sure you check every kid, making sure that you really talk to the parents about, if your kid is even a little bit not feeling well, or has any kind of slight symptom, to keep them at home. Keep them at home until they feel better. And so far, that's really worked well for us. We'll say what the big thing right now is that my kids are really hungry to compete. We had Hannah Hall. She went out to Oklahoma and competed, but that's basically all we've had. I'm really hoping that preseason nationals in Iowa take place, because we're gonna try to take a big group.
Yeah, when is that supposed to happen?
It's supposed to be September, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I know. Do they still have? Is Virginia still supposed to take place in August?
I don't think that's happening right now, but the one I feel like my gut says that's really going to take place is preseason nationals in Iowa, because Iowa's cases are so low and wrestling's starting to open up a lot more there. So
yeah, I spoke to. Yeah, that is true. I spoke to a lot of people in Iowa, and they're not, as here in Florida, we're very, big cities are close to each other. We've got a lot of people in our communities, people living close together, house on house on house on house, where in Iowa, everything is kind of spread apart. So their cases were able to be controlled pretty quickly. And I've talked to some Grandview athletes and some coaches out at some different schools there, and some club coaches, and they definitely said that it looks like Iowa's kind of getting back to normal. I mean, when you go into like Iowa City or places like that, they're obviously a little more cautious because big city, but on the outskirts, it looks like business as usual, right? So
yeah,
that's awesome, man. So talk about your facility, the kind of what type of what the culture is going to be in there, what your philosophy is to grow it, and what your goals are.
It'll still follow the same thing we had going on at the high school. We're really community based. Pull a lot of neighborhood kids. We'll have some club kids travel in and compete with us, but we're really trying to get the culture of the Palm Harbor, Tarpon Springs, Dunedin area, into wrestling to buy in. Because when it comes down to it, to feed the high school program and to guarantee success of the club, you really have to pull those neighborhood kids and get them to learn the sport and love the sport.
Yeah, and I think first of all, a guy named Jacob Hughley said JB to PRTC.
I don't know.
I don't know either. It says his name
Jordan
is Jacob
Burroughs.
Hughley, and he says JB to PRTC.
I don't know.
So I don't know, Jacob. I appreciate the follow. I appreciate you looking out. Just explain
Jordan
yourself.
Burroughs to something regional training center. I don't know.
Maybe to Palm Harbor Regional Training Center with the K.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. That's one thing I'd really like to get going here in August, September, is really bring in some good clinicians to the facility and get some good clinics going, and getting the local programs some spotlight for some good coaching.
Nice. Oh, maybe that's maybe you're right. JB somewhere.
Yeah.
Nicholas Radner. Literally what?
Yeah.
Where's Nick? Nick's just living at the beach, huh?
Yeah, Nick lives at the beach. He really begged me to wear a Hawaiian shirt. He actually asked me to sit by the pool and do it. He said Sal Basil did it, so I had to do it too.
Yeah, Sal was by the pool.
Yeah.
I should get Sal back on, because now he's got the now they've built out that whole entire backyard. I see on Facebook his wife posted the new grill and stuff. But I talked to a lot of those guys. Man, your area is unbelievable. I never knew how many great clubs and wrestling there is in just such a short square mileage of where you are. I mean, you got and still more coming, right? I mean, that's awesome.
We got here we got Dark Side, which is the countryside program. You got BB is real close to us, Jesuit. Not too far from where I live in Tarpon is the Scorpions. I don't know if they're going right now, but the program at Sun Lake with the guy from New Jersey that came down. So I don't know if they have a place to train at, but I mean they're pretty close to us too.
And then where's the Mafia? North of you?
South, about 45 minutes south. Yeah. We actually had a couple of our guys went down there and trained with them yesterday. So it's a great bunch of guys.
Yeah, man, you guys could really put a team together for like Disney or something, right? With all those clubs and stuff. Well, that's good, man. I tried to put the picture you posted. I put kind of as the background of your.
That's all Nick. That's all Nick Radner right there, man. He's been in there all week with his tools, and I've been trying to help the best I can. But he really put that facility together and busted his butt, and it's just going to get nicer and nicer, mostly because of him.
Yeah, and you guys got to be really happy to have your own spot now. And so is there going to be? I know right now we get a hold of you on Facebook. Is there going to be are you going to stick to a business page on Facebook, or are you going to?
Yeah, my wife kind of does all the behind the scenes stuff for that. I think she was looking at like GoDaddy to start like a small business website because I'm going to need it, especially with scheduling and classes and stuff like that. But the social media has been work. I mean, I've been running a youth program now for like probably my 6th year doing youth stuff, and I mean social media. We have like a team app, but parents that want to get their kids involved seem to find a way to get to you because usually that first practice I always have like 40, 50 kids no matter what.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
How many kids do you think you'll be able to fit at a time inside your new facility?
I'd probably say 30 each session. So 30 for the kindergarten through 5th, and then 30 for 6th to 12th. We could probably make it work with up to 50 if we staggered the drilling, like lightweights then heavyweights. If we did it that way, for sure. That's
cool. Do you have kind of an area like out behind the facility that you can access as well?
Yeah, it's a like industrial park, and at night there's basically nobody there. It's a bunch of machine shops and stuff like that. So the parking lot's pretty dead at night. So if we had to set up something outside, we definitely could.
Yeah, like I see some of these like CrossFit gyms or some of these MMA gyms where they also have like tires and everything out back where they do some stuff like that as well.
Yeah, we could get some of that stuff down there pretty easily too. I'm a big proponent though, like the coaching staff and myself, we stick to what we know. We coach wrestling, so there's some programs out there that'll kind of get into the strength and conditioning stuff, but I stick to what I know, and I'm a wrestling coach. I got a guy, his name's Ryan Vaught. He's got a Vaught's Garage Strength around the area, and he does a lot of strength and conditioning for all our guys. He definitely does a very good job getting them strong, especially sports specific for wrestling. He gets their grip strength and their pull strength. He incorporates a lot of like untraditional things specifically for wrestling to get the guys stronger. He does a great job.
Yeah, and it sounds like, I think you mentioned early in the day there'll be strength and conditioning classes available with an actual conditioning coach. So what's the ETA, man? When are we looking to get open? When are you looking to
August 3rd. August 3rd we open.
Really? Nice.
Yep.
You're gonna do like a grand opening type deal, or?
Well, since we've already been kind of going this whole time, that we've been allowed to, now we're just going to go right into it, and we'll fill the beginners classes with any new kids, but we'll pull in at least 30, 40 youth kids, and then most of the high school kids.
Nice. Well, good for you, man. I mean, congratulations on that, and I'm sure you and Nick are looking forward to kind of having your own space. And I know you, because with the school, your hands are kind of tied. You can only do what you can do, and with the off-site stuff, it's going to help you.
And in our district, I know every district is different. We pay a lot to use our own room to do any youth stuff or pretty much any off-season stuff. We're paying the county to use that wrestling room. I mean, it's not cheap. So really, what I realized is if I found an affordable warehouse to run the club out of, it was pretty much close to the same price I was paying the school. So it was a no-brainer.
Worked out for you. So, all right. Well, in your opinion, what does high school wrestling look like this season?
My personal opinion is I think they're gonna suspend the season, but push it into the late winter, early spring, maybe January. I think that's our best case scenario. I don't think wrestling's going to start right in November. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah,
But
what he does.
I think they're going to wait and see what the new year looks like, and then hopefully run it then. My fear is that they run wrestling and football at the same time, and that would be terrible for our program because we have so many kids that play both sports. Our heavyweight, he's the number one ranked heavyweight in 3A going into the season. He's a returning state place winner. He's a phenomenal offensive and defensive lineman. So that would kill us if they ran them both at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that would affect the kid too. I mean,
Yeah,
kids, they don't want to, a high school kid doesn't want to be put in a position to have to choose.
yeah,
Right. So, and I'm sure you can try to do both, but it's two different conditionings. It's two different.
yeah. It wouldn't work.
Yeah. I mean, you can't cut weight as an offensive lineman during the season.
Yeah,
That's going to
especially
be,
him because he's coming down from like 300 pounds every year. So
that's going to be
boy.
tough.
Yeah.
I've seen some people post things about maybe sticking to one-on-one duels and having the season go that way as opposed to these big kind of IBT tournaments and things like that. What's your opinion on that?
I would be happy for anything. Fans, no fans. Everybody wears a mask, including the official. But the kids wrestling, I'd be happy with that. Even if we really don't stay in our county, with the exception of our host tournament. We're all over the state. We're in Miami. We're in Orlando. We go up to North Florida. Pretty much the whole season we spend trying to find the best competition. But even if we had to stay in Pinellas County the whole season, it would be worth it to me. So
yeah, whatever works, right?
Yeah, and whatever, anything really at this point. Yeah. And if there's no high school wrestling, I can promise you there will be some sort of club wrestling going on. So
yeah, and that'll be nice. I know that you have not only do you have a girls program, but you've got one of the best girls in the country.
Yeah, for sure.
What did it mean to her to get wrestling sanctioned?
I was literally talking to her and her dad about it yesterday. Obviously, Steve and Hannah are like some of the biggest promoters of girls wrestling probably in the country. So it meant a lot, maybe a little bittersweet because she couldn't be like the centerpiece of the program, which would have been nice. But we have two 8th grade girls coming up, Miranda Mose, Claire Boo. They're real tough. So those two will kind of be the founding women of the girls program at Palm Harbor. But Hannah's doing her thing. She doesn't stop training. I think every other week she's traveling to get in a college room or to go to a national tournament. The girl literally never stops working at it. She's the first one to use the new facility. And when she's not there, she's in her garage training. She sets the example for hard work.
Yeah, I mean, Connor Beebe said Kane's wrestling doing big things in the area.
Yeah, we'll see him shortly with a lot of kids.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, talk about some badass women coming out of Florida. Every time I look, I see her and the girl from Freedom at these tournaments all over the state, and they're both kicking ass. And weren't they 1 and 2 in their class together? So I seem to see them everywhere, repping Florida and doing really well at it.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting, the sanctioning. It's going to be interesting. I'm hoping, at our school is that they give us more space. If we have 2 sports, like girls basketball, boys wrestling, boys wrestling, that they'll somehow accommodate that, because our wrestling room's pretty small. Obviously we could split the schedule, but I'm hoping they let us like add on to the room or use another spot in the school to open it up. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think it's awesome too, especially for. I think it's cool that girls get a chance to wrestle on the big stage. They get to be at the Osceola Heritage. They get to be seen. They get the real medals. They get the real boards. They get the let them be. Just let them do what they want to do.
It should have happened a long time ago. So
yeah. So but it seems like the dominoes are falling all around the country, which is great. I mean, I've seen. Seems like every time I'm on social media, another state sanctions it at some level. Like I know, Colorado, I think it goes full blown next year, but they did like a trial season first, and then it worked, and then
it'll be huge. It'll be huge in Florida. I mean, especially Palm Harbor, is such a big school, and we actually have predominantly very good girls sports teams. Our softball team has won a ton of state titles. Girls soccer team has won a bunch of state titles. Girls swimming, bunch of state titles. So I'm sure that wrestling will follow that suit pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Coach Ayers up in New Jersey, and
Yeah.
he, his daughter Chloe is a stud, and it was the first girls sanctioned tournament up there or something, and it was over 700 girls in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's awesome.
That's exciting. It's good for the sport as a whole,
Yeah, and it's just it's tough. You talk to some girls that came through Florida who are now coaching in college and doing some other stuff, and they said, it was tough having to try to get the stage through the boys bracket.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to see these girls walk into a room right now and they're seen as just another wrestler. Where these older girls have stated, we used to go into a room and nobody wanted to roll with us. We'd go to a tournament, people would forfeit.
Yeah.
And that's just stupid.
Yeah. There's been a lot of girls like over the years that really paved the way, like Hannah and Lauren Stone and a few others, so the sanctioning's really like, because of them, because of those girls that put in all that work.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Like, and of course you and I are adults now, so we look and go, that's stupid, just wrestle the girls, right? But then we're 14 years old, what 14-year-olds are like, oh my God, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. You're like,
yeah, I never really ran. I was a big boy. I wrestled at 215, so I was a big meathead back in the day. So I never really ran into that, but I saw a lot of it.
Well, that's awesome, man, and good for you. Now that you have another room, another place to wrestle, man, you can grow both sports. Plus, now the little guys. I know I talked to Coach Matt Hoke. I hope I said that right. Up in I think it's like the Michigan area up there somewhere, and I forget, somewhere out there, but he's doing really good things out there, and he started with these little ninjas, he calls them, because these little guys, they like to be called ninjas, right? And he goes, I don't even make them compete. They're just in the room to feel it and smell it and kind of roll around and just learn the basic techniques, like how to hold your head, do things, and he says it's really helped since he started that, because now the kids, as they grow up, they want to stay around and they want to come back in.
I'll tell you what, I was talking to one of our coaches, Tom Majors. He's phenomenal. He's really essential to our program. But his son, Jax, is I think he's going to first grade next year. So Tom he works a lot with the little guys, and it really helps your coaching. It really helps you understand wrestling, starting with the youth stuff. It's hard to understand wrestling unless you see it from like totally organic from the beginning to the end. So if you can understand a movement, like I don't like to say wrestling moves, I like to say wrestling movements. If you can understand a movement that a kindergartner can do, it translates. So I don't know if that makes sense. Wrestling's like clay. You got to do it from the beginning.
Yeah, no, it does. And I was talking to the two of the Miami Beach senior high coaches the other day, and one of them was in the Marine Corps. So he said coming back out of the Marine Corps, and then in our program we have little guys too, and he goes, it's actually tough for me because I just came from this mentality where it's like, go now, yes now, go now. But with the kids, I really have to adjust my thought process and kind of go back, like you said, you got to go back to molding it.
Yeah. I was similarly, I was in the Army. I was a combat engineer in the Army for 4 years. And I came back from a deployment, and I got out of the Army to go to school to be a teacher. So while I was in school to be a teacher, I was a teacher's assistant in an elementary school. So, coming out of the Army, I was using my GI Bill to go to school. Then I was thrown into like an elementary school classroom. It was interesting.
Yeah, you're used to like everybody having to salute and stand there,
it was interesting.
Pick it up, move it now.
I think working at that elementary school really helped me with the little guys coaching. So I'm really grateful for it.
That's awesome. Does your wife teach as well?
No, my wife runs a couple medical practices for some doctors. Yeah.
Oh,
good. On like the business end of the medical field.
Oh, that's good.
She's the brains behind the operation.
Yeah,
not me.
I have one of those too. But yeah, well, that's good though. But she can really get some medical questions answered for you as far as what you're doing,
Yeah,
kind of where to go the right direction, and that's awesome. It's always good to have somebody close to you that can get that information for you.
yeah.
Although Facebook is great, but I don't know how much of it
No,
you believe or not.
no. Who knows? I every day is so different. I kind of stopped paying attention to a lot of it and just following the rules and wearing the mask when you're indoors, and our county has a mandate, so if we're indoors we got to wear a mask. So unless you're participating in like a physical activity like wrestling or anything like that, or at the gym, I just follow what they tell me to do, and if they changed what they tell me to do, I'll still do it, whatever they
Yeah,
want.
yeah. Maybe we just need to wrap wrestlers in like the Blue Man Group suits.
Yeah, I don't know. Just like when the school year comes, I'm going to do whatever they tell me to do in the classroom. If I got to teach the mask on, if I got to teach 6 feet away, whatever they want. I'm over trying to figure anything out by myself. So I just follow the rules.
I mean, I think the best way is to follow the rules. I mean, unless someone's asking you to do something illegal, but for the most
my
part,
my mind is so on wrestling, so orientated on the program, the club, and wrestling. I can't fit anymore like worrying about COVID or worrying about anything else. So I just focus on what I know.
You being a teacher as well,
Yeah.
it's getting close to D-Day for you to be like, hey, okay, what are we doing now?
Yeah,
a lot of teachers are scared.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I'm not scared at all. I've been around kids this whole time. I'm not really worried about it. I have a healthy immune system. But I do understand that there's a lot of teachers that don't. There's a lot of teachers that have underlying health issues or any kind of condition that they would. But I'm confident that they'll provide options for those teachers, whether it's virtual school or something like that.
Well, they need to make adjustments. Like I
Yeah.
actually, if Connor's still listening, I sent a open letter that our pediatrician had sent to the public school board up here, and basically she's saying your rules and regulations came from a May meeting. Like May, it wasn't that bad yet here in Florida. Now you're making plans based on what you were seeing in May. It's been almost 6 weeks since then. You need to make adjustments to your plans. And make sure if you're opening schools, you're doing it the right way. If you're putting teachers, let's be honest, right now it's considered in harm's way, right? I mean, not
I
as far.
don't know,
You're a military guy, and you come from really being in harm's way. But a lot of these teachers, I think they feel like I've got a mom and dad at home. I've got young kids with, like you said, underlying diseases. So
here's my opinion. I think like if you took the teenagers, just high school, the elementary and middle, if you took all the high schoolers in our county, I would say a lot of them would test positive for COVID because they're at the beach, they're out and about. You're not going to stop that. You know what I mean? Yep. You're just not. I don't care. You can't lock a 16-year-old in a house for months on end. It's just not possible. So I don't think at this point, especially on the high school level, I don't think that there's a whole lot that we're going to be able to do to really stop that.
Yep.
So. And I think we got to accept that part of it and just do the best we can to keep everybody safe.
Yeah, well, looking behind you, it looks like a 16-year-old would be just fine at your house.
Yeah. Just this is all my daughters. My daughter's the whole house is just for her.
Yeah, I have
in the pool.
I have a 14 and 11-year-old, and they haven't been out since March 14th or whatever. But yeah, there's a pool out back in a yard, and I see they've been definitely. I feel bad for the kids that, I wish they could go out and be kids, but on the other side of it, it's really been really good for my two boys. They've really become a lot closer through it. Like initially it was still fighting and leave me alone and don't talk to me and I'm cool, you're not. But as they realize like, hey, all I got is you and all you got is me. We better make this work. So next thing I knew, I saw Daniel teaching Zachary how to wrestle on the mat, and mats were open up. And now slowly you started to see the older one bring the little one out and make him, do weight training with him at night. And so you're starting to see like a real cool bond made. Still get some anxieties and some pouts and some frustrations from thinking that this is going to be the rest of his life, which I try to explain to him that everything comes to an end. this too will come to an end. We're not going to, there's been pandemics that's happened in this country, before us, and
Yeah.
able to find a cure, find a process, and find a way to control it. And they'll find a way to control this too. And I say, look, just control what you can control. You can control lifting weights. You can control keeping your mind right. You can control having fun with your brother. You can't control
Yeah.
your mom's decision or the country's decision or the school's decision. You just can't control
Yeah.
that. It's out of your control. So
That's a good way to look at it. Speaking of siblings, we have in the club, the youth, we have 3 sets of 3 siblings. So that's an interesting dynamic. We have three Prindles, 3 Karastinoses, and 3 Boos. So it's I think this is like the club being open has been a blessing because they can kind of get out of the house and not kill each other.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Shane McCall, Palm Harbor has consistently been a great place for wrestling, good people, and a launch pad for some studs. Shout out to Josh Hartley. Good luck next season.
Yeah, his son's going to be the next up and comer. I forget if his son's going to be in 9th grade or 8th grade next year, but his son.
I think 9th grade.
Yeah, son's the real deal.
Yeah, I always see the videos and stuff, and then I saw him posting some of him doing like some MMA stuff and things like that.
Yeah,
cool.
He always has good back and forth. We have a kid who's going into 7th grade, Landon Hawley, who's a big up and comer for our program, and Draven and Landon always kind of go back and forth on the mat, but it's always awesome to watch him wrestle.
Yeah, Shane's been. Draven's going into 8th.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shane. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
He's been on vacation, so I haven't heard from him. I usually hear from him all the time. And so yesterday I hit up Shane. I'm like, hey, man, I haven't heard from you in a long time. You all right? He's like, no, we've been on vacation doing some stuff. So I'm like, all right, cool. But hey, so I've adjusted my 10 questions and stuff. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, Clearwater or St. Pete?
St. Pete.
Stone crabs or lobsters?
Stone crabs.
Largo or Dunedin?
Dunedin. Born and raised.
Burgers or wings?
Wings.
Tarpon Springs or Safety Harbor?
Tarpon Springs.
Thick crust or thin crust?
Thin crust.
Bradenton or Weeki Wachee?
Weeki Wachee, I guess.
Barbecue or fried chicken?
Barbecue.
Indian Rocks or Treasure Island?
Indian Rocks.
Ribeye or New York Strip?
Ribeye, always.
Nice. I have been mixing some wrestling stuff in there, but since you were on already, we kind of did that part.
Yeah.
So I went a little different this time to make
it
a little more fun. And man, I'm really stoked about your new program. Not your new program, your new facility.
Location, facility, yeah.
Man, that's awesome. And like I tell BB and all those guys over there on the West Coast, when I get Mama's blessing, we'll definitely start to get out and about and get to meet some people personally,
Oh yeah, man. The door's always open. That's the best part of this new place is that literally we got the keys, so it'll always be open.
Yeah, go see the U, baby.
Yeah, it'll be there. Got a bunch of cool stuff there. You'll see.
I like it, and I used your ibis this time as your logo.
Yeah,
and
it's cool.
I got you down in the bottom corner. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah,
you got the U down there.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I'm just trying to build up that board, but it's definitely been fun. It's been a great journey for me, and just learning from all you guys and girls and people and coaches and kids has been amazing for me. I told someone the other day, I can't wait for like legit wrestling to happen where I'm out at tournaments and stuff, because I think my eyes are going to watch wrestling different because I've learned so much. And I've taken so many different free classes now just for my own knowledge that people have told me are available through this. So it's like I went and got bronze coach certified. Not sure.
Yeah, that's good.
For what? I'm never going to probably coach, but it was.
You never know, man.
It was free, and I really learned a lot from it. And I took a lot of notes, and I got a cool like bag they sent me or something for the kids. They sent me a bag and these posters of like the national teams and stuff. So my Daniel was like, "Oh, this is cool," and he put it up on his wall and stuff. So I got some cool stuff for it, and it's just understanding wrestling more from this is I'm excited to see how my eyes process it now. Like I
Yeah.
understand why calls are called better. I understand why a pin doesn't look like the shoulders touched, because it's not the shoulders that have to touch.
Yeah.
Things that would light you up, like he wasn't pinned, his shoulder wasn't down, and the ref's like, you're an idiot. It doesn't have to be a shoulder, and but I was an idiot. I didn't know what I was talking about.
Yeah, wrestling's fluid, man. The longer you're in it, the more you look at it differently. So I don't think that ever really stops.
Yeah, and just learning like in what's it called, the referee stance when you're on top, and then
Referee's position, yeah.
get called for caution. I always wondered, what the hell, he looks like he's doing what everyone else is doing, but I didn't realize, like, well, if the foot doesn't break the plane of the back feet and the knee isn't here and the hand, I never understood it in depth. I'm just like, it looks like every other kid. Why is he getting called and him not? But
yeah,
obviously there's more to it.
Hey, the rule book, man. The rule book is the coaches. My coach Mark Allison always yelled at me every year. When I coached under him, is that I need to know the rule book. So the rule book is one of your best friends as a coach. Know it in and out.
When you hear Cipriano talk about it all the time, like, hey, coaches, I run into a lot of coaches that don't read the rule book, unfortunately, and they're just new coaches and they haven't experienced what they're seeing. And not that I'm not defending. He says I'm not defending refs. There are refs that need to read the rule book too and make some bad calls, and it happens. But together we can all be better if we just get better, right? So it's cool. Shane is like, dads become coaches all the time. No. I would love to help out, and I think I'm starting that process with this, and it's had some good feedback, and I'm hoping that people in Florida and all over the country have met people through my show and heard of new people through my show, and I've had different people reach out and say, man, I was starting a brand new program and I saw these guys at Mater Lakes that started 5 years ago. So now I reached out to them to see how they started their program and what worked and what didn't work, and that's helped me. So if I get one story like that, that makes me feel, man, all 230 of them have been worth it,
Yeah, we had a great duel with Mater Lakes. I'm pretty sure it was them at Haggerty Duels this year, when they had a huge heavyweight and our heavyweight's huge, and our heavyweight returned their heavyweight, but they landed out of bounds into like a big gallon of water, and the gallon of water exploded. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a match. So Matt returned them and landed on this gallon of water, and the water just exploded in the air. It was sick. It was awesome. I wish I had that on video.
Oh yeah, and those two guys were what, like 500 pounds total?
Yeah, something like probably closer to 600, but yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks, Nick. Nick's like, great work, Dan. Community appreciate you for sure. Yeah. Nick's always posting. He's like, look, hot wife at the beach. She's got to be like, stop. I know my wife's always like, stop taking pictures of me. I don't want, you can tell the world what we're doing. I don't have to.
I think 90% of Nick's life, he doesn't have a shirt on. So that's a real thing.
Well, in his defense, I think that's like a wrestler's life, like to walk around with a shirt on. My son's only 14 and he's starting to get muscles, and he doesn't put a shirt on. And my wife's like, put your damn shirt on.
Nick's 36 and looks 16 still, so he still got it. Not all of us do.
He put, I can't help it. Don't worry, I'm 44, Nick, and I still act 15. It's awesome. Well, hey man, thanks for coming on.
No problem, man. I got to get my daughter some lunch, so she's giving me the evil eye.
If you ever want to jump when you get the club open and you're live in the club, let's get back on and show what you've got. We can walk around, show the ropes, show the strength and conditioning, show the mats.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Anytime. Thank you so much.
Thanks, dude. See ya.
See you, Nick. See you, Shane.
Bye.
All right.